in your chest, and then exhaling. This we would do longer until I have that state of feeling centered in all my three areas. I feel my body relaxed, I feel my emotional state calmed, and I feel my mental state very clear. This could be done in between points. You would probably not be aware of your breathing during the point. But let's say you've played a point and you're very angry, or you're very exhausted, or you felt badly about something that happened, something that changed the course of your concentration in a match. You could slowly walk around, put your hand on your stomach, and then check your breathing. Again, remember, it would be the same breathing as you did when you were sitting down, except now you're walking. If you could get your body back to that state that we felt while we were sitting down breathing, where we were very calm, very serene, then we're ready to play the next point. It's a great mechanism, a great monitor while you're playing tennis. You could do many different ways to monitor yourself. You could say after every set, after every game, after every point, you've got to check your monitor system. And it's just your feeling about yourself. And the link, like I say, between that physical feeling of tense and anger and tightness and the emotions is that breath. Because if that breath is changing, that means you're in a state of change. And we don't want that, because remember, the test of time, an athlete playing one day and duplicating his game the next day, and then duplicating it year after year, and tournament after tournament, that test of time is that harmony idea. The great players never change their breath. Christy Everett can go through a match and her emotions stay very stable. John McEnroe actually gives some emotion out, but then he knows how to return it back to a very calm state before he does his next serve or return a serve. Everyone will have their own ways of getting them back to that base state, that state of harmony. Another form of this is learning how to shake out your tension. Tension in a shot would look very similar if I was playing a forehand and I'm trying to do the shot. This is trying to do my shot. You can see there's tension in my shoulder. Learning how to shake out tension is to do exactly what you want. Make yourself tense. Feel the tension. And then let it relax. Let it flow out. Let the energy flow out of your hands, out through your head, through your legs. Feel it go. Then tighten again. And then relax. And see which one feels more comfortable. Now when you hit a forehand, you'll feel that the action is so relaxed, so loose, that there will be no trying, which again, remember, tension causes change of the physical side as well as the emotional side and the breath. I can't be tense very long. My breathing gets very high. I'm breathing up here now, rather than breathing from down here relaxed. And that tires you. So obviously you can't stand the test of time. Not like a Rosewall or a Chrissy Everett, who's very centered emotionally, mentally, and physically. We've also talked a little bit about accommodation. In other words, something will accommodate itself. If we keep practicing a movement, it will become refined. It will eventually take on the look of being natural. There's another part of nature that every natural athlete has, and that's balance. We see balance in nature in several areas. We see it in the weather. We see it in the seasons. Winter is balanced by summer. Spring is balanced by fall. We see it with the animals. The old animals will succumb, and the young animals come through with life. We see it in man and women. There's a balance between the two, male, female. Balance could be defined possibly as a point in time where there is perfect harmony, where there is a stillness. If you think of riding a bicycle, sitting down on a bike, moving in such fashion, you're not moving from one side to the other. You're trying to maintain quiet. It's very hard to define again in words what is that balance. We're going to call it, for now, we're going to name it, we're going to term it a stillness, a quietness, a serenity again. Tennis is no different than actually sitting down, feeling your center, feeling your stomach, and taking a swing and trying to see if all the action is out. In other words, the natural athlete is not learning any new moves. The natural athlete has taken all those moves away until finally there's that little point in time, that skeletal effect that's only efficiency. In other words, I'm not going to teach you something new. I'm just going to take away all the excess. So if I was going to hit two forehands, all the excess is out. I could stand here very calmly. You see my head still, my shoulders are straight. My back is very firm. Not firm in terms of stiffness, but it is aligned properly. If I was playing off balance or trying too hard, I would give a look of this, where I'm actually moving. So now you see my head, I've lost my balance. I do not have that serene state of just stillness, or is it very effortless? If we have that effortless feel, that maintaining of balance, you can play for hours on end. You're learning to control your energy, to use your energy, rather than to use it up. If I was moving like this for more than a couple hours, I don't think I could last for more than about 5 or 10 minutes playing tennis in that fashion. But if I played like this, I could last all day long. Something common that you see when you see people volleying in tennis is that they change their posture all the time for the level of the ball's flight. I'll show you 3 volleys where I change my level of flight, but I don't change my balance. I've hit the ball each time as a bouncing off action, but you never saw me change my posture to hit the ball. So I don't bring my eyes and my head down to the level of the ball, because then again, that's action, that's work in trying to communicate motion and movement. The idea, again, remember, is that we don't want the idea of trying. I'm not trying, I'm just executing. I'm just executing. And there's a very important part of that, which is involved in the running and also in the execution of a swing, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We spoke a little bit about stillness and effortlessness, sitting on a chair and swinging until your body was perfectly in harmony, in balance. Let's go one step farther and talk about the dynamics, the actual movement on the court with the same principle of nature, balance. The martial artists were great admirers of nature and balance. They taught their movement so technically in slow motion, they felt they could do it in slow motion, they could obviously do it in fast motion. In tennis, we're going to relate the same ideas that the martial artists used to tennis. If I was going to work with balance, notice the stillness of my moves. If I was thinking about transporting myself around the court, if I moved myself this way from my center, or pushed myself this way from my center, or pulled myself this way from my center, or pulled myself from my center, I'm moving only from my stomach, from my center. I didn't move to those areas with my head first, or with my shoulders back, or fading back in this fashion, or forward this way. My head wasn't leading the action. That feeling is a hard feeling to convey in terms of words, but we can do it by using certain drills, very similar to the patterns used for the martial artist or the dancer. We'll apply them to tennis. Our first move in tennis is very critical. If our first move is on balance, we can stay on balance. That first move in tennis is to get quickly on that foot, which would be your right foot for a forehand. If I can move my next foot in slow motion and maintain my balance or my stillness, you see I have a non-excessive action. If I move backwards and I keep my position, my balance, notice how you haven't seen me sway back and forth this way, or when I was moving to the right, I didn't sway to gain my balance. I've maintained my balance at all times. The law of balance is that harmony, that peak point where relaxation and lack of tension is in harmony with tension and trying, where it's in harmony with flexion and extension. I'm flexing my muscles to hold myself in balance, or am I just extended to feel the balance? So there is no work. Remember, if I can get on balance, there's absolutely no work involved. I'm moving to my backhand. I'm maintaining my balance the entire time. Now I'm ready to play. I jump back. I'm moving to my forehand. I practice my movement on balance. Now I'm ready. And now my stroke. And I jump back. If I have that harmony between the extension and the flexion, if I'm moving and I'm trying to hold my weight, trying to hold it, trying to work my slow motion movements out, and if I feel tension in my legs or in my neck trying to hold myself, it's not correct. Because remember, it's total relaxation. It's actually free falling. I'm on balance, everything is square. I'm on balance. I'm on balance. You can see this in football a lot on television. You'll see the quarterback set, ready, hike. He'll move back. He maintains his balance. He doesn't stop and then have a tilt. You'll see him also not take his hands and go somewhere with his hands to lose his balance. It's very similar in tennis. We move quickly. We maintain our balance. We're back. We move quickly. We maintain our balance. If I can get you to have that one step to maintain your balance and to feel total harmony, I feel no tension at all in my muscles at this point. I feel all extension. I don't feel any tension. And that's what we're looking for in that feeling of balance. To go one step farther now, the feeling of balance is an elongation of our straightening idea of a straight line. Remember, balance, I feel when I'm straight, I'm having no tension in trying to maintain my straightness. I'm relaxed. So balance is very critical. We can teach it as we did in slow motion, and then we can speed it up to see if we can maintain balance at faster pace. I could do it with my arms folded, slow, and then back. Over and out. Trying to keep my head stilled, my body stilled. Moving from my center. Then I could do it quickly with a little bit more tempo, and then back. So now you can see the reason for my slow motion. My exercise is as such because I have to have better awareness so that when I do it in quick motion, I see that I can stop at any point and maintain my balance. It's a natural law, and we have to have it in tennis. We'll go one step farther now and show how that natural law of balance applies in actually during the swing of the racket, as in all other sports. We've been speaking mainly about movement to the ball, that centered approach, that effortless flow to the ball. But there's two other areas we have to emphasize just as well. There's the movement to the ball, but there's also the actual stroking, the movement in harmony and balance, and then the actual recovery from that stroke. So the full centered look would be over, the stroke, the recovery. The over, the stroke, and then the recovery. That harmonious move has to be done repetitiously until it's just done so smoothly, so controlled, that we're always in control on the court. To work on the stroking area of that, the second area of movement, I want to talk a little bit about tension. If a stroke is done with tension, the muscles constrict. If you have the feeling of non-tension, of looseness, of heaviness in your arms, then the stroke will happen by itself. To demonstrate this, just stick your arm out and tense it and tighten it. You can almost feel it constricting. Feel as if there was a flow of energy going through your body, and as you're constricting and tightening, trying to make strength, you're actually constricting that flow of energy. But if your arm is relaxed and heavy and loose and warm, then the energy can flow through full. It's like an artery or a vein. It's very full. The blood is passing through. But as it gets constricted, you can see the energy is being constricted. Therefore, you're losing the power and the strength. So in the stroking area, we have to apply the same laws of non-resistance, of balance, of accommodation. We have to apply the same feeling of centered, of relaxation to allow for a perfect hit. To show how the arm can move being relaxed, there's a certain law that I use that kind of conveys the approach that you see in nature as well. It's the idea of certain things are caused and certain things are allowed to happen. If the wind blows, the tree will then move in that direction of the wind, and then it will be allowed to branch back or sling back or swing back into the centered position. You see this very obviously with a pendulum effect. If there was a pendulum, you could see how certain things would be caused. If I move this ball this direction, I'm causing that action. But if I release it, it's being allowed to swing on its own accord. Again, my center is here. I'm allowing this to be happening because I've caused this action. This is allowed. So the very same effect happens when you're striking a tennis ball. This effect would be with your core rather than the pendulum. My core now is my center.